Goedenavond iedereen. Ik hoop dat iedereen mij kan horen en zien. Dat is wel een mooi begin. Yes, ik ben Willem van Beekafun dus. En vanavond gaan we het een beetje hebben over livestreamen. Hoe dat je het aan boord legt, wat voor toestellen dat je ervoor nodig hebt, eventueel software dat je ervoor nodig hebt. We beginnen van een DJ-livestream tot een PA-livestream, muzikanten-livestream, tot waar je het wil. Als er vragen zijn in tussentijd, beneden heb je hier een Q&A-sectie staan. Je mag gewoon tijdens de webinar vragen stellen. Ik geef er antwoord op. En Lee zal gewoon zijn uitleg terwijl doen. Moesten er nog vragen zijn rechtstreeks voor Lee, mag dat gewoon na zijn presentatie gebeuren. Als je vragen rechtstreeks wil stellen in het Engels, allemaal goed. Als je vragen in het Nederlands wil stellen aan mij, ook allemaal goed. Maar laat u volledig gaan en we proberen op zoveel mogelijk te antwoorden. En nu laat ik dan het woord over aan Lee.
Hey everybody, first live streaming mistake. So yeah, thanks for joining in. Thanks to Willem as well for having us here. And we're just going to kind of chat a bit about live streaming. Obviously, everybody is live streaming now in different forms, from DJs, live bands, even to church, things like this. So at Presonus, we do offer different products that can be really good solutions for different ways to live stream. So we're going to talk through a bit of this. Obviously, there are so many different platforms for live streaming that it's very, very difficult to get into the full details of the different platforms and settings and stuff. But maybe I may mention a workflow that I use. So just to let you know what I do, what works. And then any questions, if I can answer, maybe Willem can help, or we can answer in the chat afterwards. So first off, I guess what I may do is share my screen, and I can show you guys some of the products that we offer that can maybe be really good solutions that will give you, a professional audio output for your live stream. It's very easy to, record something directly into your phone, and a lot of people are doing this successfully. But really, if you spend some effort and if you can get your audio stream at the right levels, in the right environment, and delivered to your platform, it will make such a bigger difference to your live streaming experience and how many people you attract to your live stream. So first off, to mention, maybe, for DJs and things, they don't really need a lot of inputs. They don't really need complicated solutions for live stream. So, I know some guys actually just use, the small jack input of their computer from their line mixer and their DJ CD mixers and things. So yeah, that works fine. But you do have the option to use an audio interface. And I'm just scrolling down through, we've got lots of different options. A couple of points about the audio interface that might be of benefit to a DJ, for example, is that, if you wanted to use your left right from your mixer output to your live stream, that would be good. But maybe you want to use a microphone as well, and to speak before or after coming through on a high quality preamp on your interface. A lot of mixers may have a built-in mic. On an audio interface, our audio interfaces, you'll get a Class A preamp, which will give you 48 volts phantom. So now that allows you to maybe even have a vocalist, sometimes that happens, on a nice quality microphone. And now you can send that stream, the mixture of your line inputs with your mic input. So at the entry level, we have like the Audio Box 96, and this will connect to your computer via USB. I'll just show you some quick images as I chat about the different product. So this will connect to your computer via USB. You've got your two inputs on the front, so you'll see that the jacks will plug directly into the front. So you can do XLR or jack input at line level. Sorry, mic instrument level on the Audio Box 96. On the other versions, we have line level. And what you'll basically do is you'll go into your computer preferences and you can select, you can replace the built-in audio sound card from your laptop or your PC with this as an audio sound card. So Now you can also go to your streaming platform, maybe it's Facebook, YouTube, or OBS or something like this, and you'll just select the interface as your audio input, as your input going to stream. So that's a pretty straightforward setup. You know, for example, doing a left and right to for out of your DJ mixer or something like this. It gets a little more difficult if you want to use multiple sources. And also the conversation of latency will come up, because sometimes you maybe would have maybe two vocalists and two acoustic guitars or something playing together. They kind of want to monitor back what they are playing. So, you know, you may have some latency issues, but we have some solutions for latency. On our entry-level interfaces, we have a mix. I'll actually go back to this one here. We have a mix blend, which will blend your input with your playback. So you can see on this mixer knob, now I can actually take the input that goes directly into my interface. This will send a feed direct to my headphone output on the interface. So that would be my input side of this mix knob. So if I move more to the left, I'm listening to the direct feed from my input to my headphones, and then I can blend in the playback to play along to. So that's one workaround for latency. But obviously we have some other audio interfaces that we have lower latency and also some built-in processing. So if you see our Studio Series interfaces here, there are some options for different amounts of inputs and outputs and things. But if you use an 1810 or 1824, you'll actually have a built-in software mixer. So that allows you to blend the levels of your inputs direct to your monitor output in your headphones. So again, that means you're getting basically zero latency monitoring straight to your headphones. And then the stream to your live stream can be happening in the background through your USB cable. Moving on from this, so that's kind of basic level mixing within a software mixer called Universal Control. But you can then move on to something like a Thunderbolt interface. So Thunderbolt interface, you know, they're kind of famous for having low latency, and our Quantum series are, I think, some of the lowest latency interfaces available on the market. Sub 2 milliseconds latency you can get. So basically, you can plug your sources into your audio interface, and you can monitor directly back from a DAW, for example. So now you could open your recording software, and you could have multiple inputs into your recording software, and then actually monitor from your software. So the round trip latency that normally would be a problem is now minimal because of the speed of the Thunderbolt connection. And again, you'll now just select the output source from your audio interface into your streaming platform. The majority of streaming platforms usually kind of receive on USB 1 and 2 or mix 1 and 2. There are some platforms that, again, you'll have to do your own kind of homework, that will allow you to take in separate inputs from an interface, but generally it's on 1 and 2. So basically you're doing your mix within onboard processing in an interface, or you're doing it within a DAW before you send it to your live stream. Okay, so is everyone hearing me okay, and everything's going okay? Because I can't see any Q&A from my end. But I'll keep going until Willem stops me, I guess. Okay.
Lee, there is one question over here. Is there
Yeah.
also a solution for video, combined video with audio?
So we don't provide a solution for video audio. We are, you know, mainly on the audio end of things, but a very, very simple and effective solution that I use is OBS software. It's a free download. Maybe I'll go back and show you this towards the end, but basically OBS will allow you to take your input sources. It will allow you to take multiple camera sources in one very simple software, and it allows you to set up a simple stream that blends, say, your input audio from an interface or a mixer, and then with a DSLR or with the camera built in on your MacBook or something like this, and it allows you to mix these really simply. So that's OBS software. is what I use. But internally in the Presonus gear, there's not a camera connection.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yep. Okay, so the next kind of stage would move on to, that would give you a little bit more control, I think, particularly for monitoring back and for, different options for mixing, would be to use, you have the option to use our analog mixer. So let me see where I'm missing my mixer. Sorry, a sec. Oh. Okay, so we have, while I'm looking for this, we have a analog series of mixers called the ARC mixer. Sorry, hybrid mixer threw me off. So these are these guys. So what you're getting is a combination of what I explained about the audio interface way of working. You're getting a built-in audio interface in an analog mixer. So it's really, really simple, probably more towards bands or, a church stream or even a live stream podcast or something where you might have multiple microphones. So you've got separate mic inputs here. Let me just make this bigger. And for each mic input, you've got some EQ control in the analog domain, which could be very useful. So you can see here, you've got your different input sources. So what you do is you'd plug in all of your live analog input sources here. It could be a set of decks, could be mics, it could be podcast microphones. And then you've also got this super channel here, which allows you to return different sources, such as maybe a Bluetooth stream or, some analog inputs for playback that you can blend into this mix. You've got the option to use main outputs into a set of monitors or control room monitors. So if you use the control room outputs on this, you can then use the PFL button as a useful way of kind of deselecting some inputs from your live feed in the room. So if you've got a microphone that you're using for your live stream, but you don't want it happening in a set of monitors in your room or something, you just select PFL. And then you've got the benefits here of adding in built-in effects and things like this, and also recording your live stream to a stereo SD if you want for further use, for maybe reposting or something like this. So you get a few more options here, but the thing with the AR series is, again, you've got your built-in audio interface. So you are able to basically have your computer see this mixer as a replacement for the built-in audio sound card. And then again, when you go to your streaming platform, there will be a drop-down list usually asking you which audio source you want to use, and this will show up as an audio interface. Does that make sense? It's kind of a good midway point between a live mixer and an audio interface, and good value as well.
Lee, are the inputs line and mic level? Is somebody asking?
Yeah, so you've got different options on both. Let me just zoom in. On the first two, you'll see you've got your instrument level buttons as well. So you've got a mic line instrument, depending on which way you select on the first two. And then on the after the first two, you've got mic line. Is that cool?
Yep, that answered it. Thank you.
Yep, perfect. Okay, so things can get really interesting when you start to work with digital mixers. Our digital mixer is, there's 4 versions that you've got here. So you'll see you've got a 32SC, 32SX, 32S. Basically, these first 3 mixers here, the SC, SX, and S, they're all 32 channel mixers, okay? So you have the option to plug in 32 input sources, and that could be from an analog microphone, which would be on the actual mixer itself. Also, you have the option to use a stage box as an input source. So that would be we call it a network input source. So for each for each channel on this desk, you can select between the analog input, which is the XLR in the back of the desk, a network input, which would be a stage box, or it could be audio streamed. Maybe don't use the word streamed, but audio being sent from your computer over a network cable back into the mixer. You could also select a USB input into a channel, or even an SD card input. So there's an SD multi-track player on this mixer. So just besides live streaming, just to explain that you can use this desk to input many different sources to individual channels. So you can really start to make very individual separated mixes that you've got really lots and lots of control over. Again, this is an USB audio interface as well. So you do your very complex mix, you plug in 20 microphones and line inputs from lots of different places. Your streaming platform will still see this as a simple audio interface. So usually, again, you'll be receiving on channels 1 and 2 in your computer. So you just use your drop-down menu in your streaming platform, such as Facebook or YouTube or whichever it is, and you select the Studio Live 32SC as your sound card. So it's really kind of that simple. So now you have the benefits to get back to the actual full mix, and you can start to control all of your inputs and mix them really professionally and get things sounding really, really good. So let me see, I'm going to zoom in on the top of one of the desks here just to show you how everything kind of works and looks. So really simple to use. You've got a select button on each channel, and when you select any channel, you've got the option to use compressor, EQ, and gate. And we've got these really, really nice sounding vintage compressors and EQs and things. So my point is you can really get a professional sounding mix done, ready to go to a live stream. There's a couple of ways then you can work. So for example, if you had like quite a complex live stream of a band, for example, or again, like a church performance or something, you can actually connect this desk via network to another one of our desks. So that could be another console mixer the same as this, or you have the option to connect to a rack mixer. So we have a line of rack mixers which are essentially running the brains from the console mixer. So you get all of the same kind of really cool plugins on all of your inputs and lots of mixing capability. But what you could do is, let's say you've got one stage box on stage, and you take all of the input sources from that stage box, and they could be sourced at 2 different mixers. So you've got a front of house mixer that's running the mix in the actual venue itself. And then you may have something like this 32R mixer, maybe in another room at the back or something like this. And you're able to use an iPad and go and pick up the same input sources from that network and bring them into this mixer. So now you can use this mixer connected again via USB for this guy. And your streaming platform will be able to see this rack mixer just as a simple basic audio interface, which replaces the sound card in your computer. So now you can take all of these input streams and you can make a special, or not a special, but a better suited mix for live streaming. So the problem that can happen a lot with live streaming is that if you take the main left right from your desk, you're going to take a mix that was made to suit the acoustic environment that the band is playing in or the performance is in. So a lot of the times you'll find that the drums may not be so loud in this mix if you're listening on headphones because you're hearing it in the room. So what you really need to do, ideally, is take these individual sources, send them off to another mixer, and then do a mix that will really suit the live stream. So you're going to need lots of drums in a live stream mix. Again, guitar amps may be loud in the room, so you're going to need a completely different mix basically. And also your graphic EQ is probably going to be different on your main mix output for that live stream as opposed to in the acoustic room. So I think one of the best, most professional solutions would be using a separate external mixer, such as a rack mixer or another console mixer. But again, not everyone has the budget to run 2 mixers just for live stream. So we do have some other options and different ways to work with the Studio Live digital mixer. So we have the option then to run a smaller mixer. And this is called an ear mix. So what this is initially designed for is to give each musician in the studio or on a stage control, kind of a hands-on control for their own monitor mix. So this could be in their in-ears or maybe an on-stage monitor. So what you're able to do with the ear mix is connect over the network. So you just connect your AVB cable. It could be direct to a mixer, or it could be direct to an AVB switch. So we have an AVB switch which will actually supply power over Ethernet as well. So that means one single network cable will give you all of your signals, your audio signals, but it will also give you power. So one cable plugged into this box and you're ready to go. So you can use it on stage, but it could be really, really useful to use this as your live stream mixer. So what you do is you're able to, so you've got channels 1 to 16. Back from the console, from the original console, you can go into the digital patching window. So I don't have the desk here, but it's just to explain, it's quite simple. You can take any of your mix outputs or any individual channel and send it to any channel on the ear mix. So for example, channel 1 and 2, that could be our entire drums mix, the left and right. So now we've got a guy in an outside room who's running the live stream mix from this small mixer. So he's receiving drums on 1 and 2. He just selects 1 and 2, and then he brings up the level for that particular mix. Say channel 3 could be just bass. Channel 4 could be vocals. Channel 5 could be a complete group of guitars. So this is really just a compact way to do a separate mix of individual or grouped channels from the main mixer. And then you have the option to get in an EQ and put some limiting and panning, or even link channels to be stereo from within this mixer. So it's just a really, really, really simple and cost-effective way to have a full mixer running in parallel. You see on the back then, you've got the option to run this to headphones and actual mix monitors. So you could have a really nice set of studio monitors connected to this, running your mix, making sure that your live stream mix is of the best quality that it can be. Please jump in on any questions at any point, or if I'm going too fast, let me know. All good, Willem?
You're doing fine, man. You're doing fine.
Okay. So just to mention about digital patching briefly, essentially on these desks, you have the option to go into a digital patching window. Sorry, I'll just pull up an image. You have the option to go into a digital patching window. In this window, you can basically route any of your inputs to the USB streams, which would be on your inputs or your outputs to the USB streams, which you'd be sending to your platform. So to simplify, if you select the Studio Live as your sound card in your live stream, well, within the mixer now we can go and we could maybe make a grouped mix and individual channels and combine these and send them to USB 1 and 2, for example. So you can do this from within the screen on the Studio Live desk. It's digital patching, and basically you're patching whatever you want to the stream 1 and 2 over USB to your computer. So once you've done the initial setup patching, it's just really basic and as simple as selecting the desk as your audio interface in your platform. So yeah, so we've discussed using a completely separate mixer as your live stream option. We've discussed using a kind of a compact mixer as well as your live stream option. And then I suppose the most cost-effective way of using the Studio Live as a live stream solution is to use your mix outputs. So you'll see on the left here, we've got 16 mixes as an option. So these mixes kind of generally would be used as an auxiliary output for monitors on stage or something like this. Or I can link mix 1 and 2 together. You see, you'll see on the back, you've got all of these analog outputs for these mixes, but you can also route these mixes digitally from within the screen. So what I would do is, let's say mix 1 and 2. I would select this, and I have the option to change this into a matrix mix output. So I hope that doesn't scare too many people, but basically with a mix button on the Studio Live, you have the option to run it as an auxiliary, or you have the option to run it as a subgroup output. So an auxiliary would be used for on-stage monitors. A subgroup output could be used for an external set of speakers or something, maybe delay towers at a festival or something like this. And when you do this, it changes to blue. Or you can select, yep, and you're okay.
Lee, I just have one question.
Yep.
Someone's asking, it's the 64 by 64 channels on over USB.
Yeah.
What about the latency?
Well, this desk is used for really what you're going to be doing is monitoring from your live inputs of your desk here, you know. That's really what this is a live desk with a USB interface happening in the background. So you could choose to route it in a way that you actually monitor the USB. The latency, I don't have the exact figure, but is very manageable. But really, if you have this availability of a live mixer, well, then you would just source for monitoring, just set up some mixed outputs as you're monitoring mixes, and that's zero latency. Does that make sense? So you're monitoring live from your actual live desk, and then in the background you're streaming your audio. So you're not monitoring from your computer, you're monitoring from your live desk, and that's probably the best feature of this. Does that make sense or answer the question?
It does for me.
Yeah. So yeah, getting back to this subject, you would maybe leave, let's say mix 3 or 4 or any of these mixes, you'd leave them in the color yellow, which means that they're an auxiliary mix. And then you'd set the output on the back of the desk to go to your headphones or your monitoring solution as a musician, could be on stage or in ears. When you select this mix, now you can add any of your individual inputs to that mix with zero latency. And then what you would do is the streaming output that you want to select, you would change that into a matrix output. So you can see in the bottom, we've got 15 and 16 are in green. That tells me that this is a matrix output. Now, what is a matrix output? Basically, a matrix output allows you to select the master mixes of any of these other mixes, or the main output mix, and you can combine these and send them out of a matrix output. So it could be a blend of mix 1, 2, 3, 4, and the main mix for some crazy reason. But just to explain how it works, you also have the option then to send individual channels to a matrix mix output, as well as the master mixes from other mixes. Does that make sense, or is that confusing?
It does make sense, but it's quite advanced.
It's okay. So to simplify why you would do this, then I suppose is the best thing. Again, getting back to the point that if you have a band in a room, the room sound's going to sound really different to your main outputs. You're going to have a different graphic EQ on your master fader. So what you want to do is you could send the main mix out of matrix 15 and 16. And then, like I mentioned earlier, maybe the drums are too low. So now you could go and select some of the channels from the drums, and now you can send that through that matrix as well. That matrix will not have any of the processing on the master channel from the live room. So now you're not using the graphics and stuff from your live room where the actual gig or concert is happening. And you're able now to put separate master effects on this matrix. So it basically, without using a separate mixer, it allows you to take individual elements and send them out to your live stream, whatever levels that you want, really. And again, it's as simple as within the desk, selecting the matrix mix to go to your USB 1 and 2. So now in any of your live streaming software, when you select the desk as the audio interface, it will be reading what's coming out of matrix mix 15 and 16, for example, in this case. So the overall point, that I guess maybe a little complicated, and if you guys want to ask any questions on that, we can delve in a little bit deeper. But the point is, with something like this digital desk, you have the option to really have a lot of flexibility and send completely different mixes to different sources and different live streams if you want to work that way. You can use another mixer, you can use a basic mixer as an addition, or you can use the inbuilt matrix mixes as an option as well.
Yeah, but basically, whenever these kind of gigs and performances come back and we can actually go to a performance of somebody, it's quite easy with a mixer like this just to pull out a stream that you can place online or stream to wherever you want.
Yeah, absolutely. This works at home, but obviously in a venue, if you've got a network, you can just stream a mix to, you know, an output or on a computer, you know, that you want to connect that computer to the internet, and you just select the desk as the audio interface and stream live as it's happening at the live event with actual real people enjoying themselves for a change.
Great. I'm just going to ask if there are any other questions or specifics to get into, Lee. Als er nog vragen zijn of als je zegt van dit is mijn toepassing en ik weet niet hoe dat ik het aan boord moet leggen of zo, of er zijn andere dingen dat je nog wil weten over Presonus producten of over andere audio interfaces of dergelijke, nu is het moment om te vragen. En liefst alle vragen bij de Q&A zetten en niet in de chat als het mogelijk is. Laat u volledig gaan.
So just to mention some general things, and you know, this for me was quite difficult to find the different workflows for me, because when I use live streaming to show people how to use gear, for example. So I would need to maybe have a microphone set up so I can speak. I might have to have a second camera set up so you can show equipment. I also have to stream audio from within my computer, various programs. So if I wanted to show Studio One, for example, which is our software, I need to be able to run the audio internally in my computer into my live stream as well as my microphone, you know, so it can get a little bit complicated. So just to point out two things that work for me quite well. One of them is a program called Loopback. It's not free, and I think there are some ways to do this a little, but this is for me is worth the money because it just simplifies everything so much. Let me see if I can show you Loopback. Okay, you guys seen that, Willem? Yeah, so this program is super simple. It allows you just to select from any of your sources from this drop-down menu. So here, for example, I've got my software DAW plus my mic. I don't have that interface plugged in at the moment. The previous thing I did, that was a combination of both. And I could have had some other internal software programs running and able to blend those into this master channel. In my live streaming software, such as OBS, I can go now and select this as my audio source, and it will be a blend of all of my software, mic inputs and stuff like that. So I'm able to select all of that simply by selecting this thing within OBS or YouTube or whatever you're streaming through. And then I will just briefly share with you, again, I'm not a master of any of these things. I just got these things to work for what I do. But let me see if I can show you OBS briefly. So somebody asked earlier about OBS or about using cameras and stuff with your stream. This, for me, is the easiest solution. Let me see. Oh yes, here we go. Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this. Probably most of you are. But basically, I'm able to go down here and select from lots of different audio input sources, my browser, even a second display, I can go and switch to what's happening on a second display and only stream that. Even video, I can select to import a video into a scene. So you can really go and set up a really professional laid out scene in here. It also could be the input from your live mixer with your 32 channels or whatever you've got. And then up in the top right here, I can set up individual scenes. So maybe scene 1 would be the intro to my webcast, saying it will start in 10 minutes or something. And then I can go and add more scenes. Scene 2 could be the live performance. Scene 3 could jump to a different camera with different audio sources. So, you know, it's pretty quick to set this up. And then for live streaming, it simplifies everything. You simply just go and select through these different scenes. You can quickly jump between these scenes, and everything will change as you've selected, because of your audio inputs, your video inputs, all those sorts of things.
But you can set the camera positions or the switching between cameras automatically to the sound as well in OBS. Yeah.
Exactly. So it just does so much. It simplifies the ability to run an almost kind of TV quality switching setup. So, you know, you've got the software to do this. So really the important thing is to work on your sources, such as your audio and the quality of your video. So I think it's worth putting the effort into dialing in your mix with individual processing, and also, you know, a nice camera and nice lighting. But you can very easily get very professional results. So any questions on that? Again, that's just how I work.
What device would you recommend for DJs who are going live? That's a question I have here.
In terms of audio device, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think DJ is kind of funny, because an audio mixer, the mixer for your decks or your CD DJ players has quite a lot in there already. So it really depends on what you want. Do you want to just stream your left and right? Or do you need maybe a better quality headphone amp, or do you need to use a microphone with better quality with your stream?
Let's say you have a DJ setup, but not the most complicated one, so you don't have an audio interface built in the mixer, for example, but you just have an output signal that you want to stream on the internet. Or
yeah, it just, you know, something like an audio box would be super cool, because you can just USB to your computer, go into your streaming platform and select the audio box as the audio source, and now you can monitor from the audio box, or you can monitor straight from your mixer. But you just take your line outputs left and right from your mixer, line inputs into the audio box. Doesn't do line level, that's the only thing. So you could buy either use DI boxes there, but the better option is probably to use this Studio series. So the 24C would have mic line instruments, so you can just go straight into the front. It's actually not that much more expensive, but it's really that simple. Out of your decks mixer, line inputs, select within your streaming software the audio interface as your source.
plus, let's not forget, of course, you're recording in a very nice quality, because the converters in the Studio series are of a nice quality. The sound is very well, but
Yeah.
the same is, and that's the thing, I guess, that's forgotten mostly with an external audio interface, is that you're really upgrading the sound of your laptop or computer. So it's not only the input that counts, but the output is way better than the normal stuff you have built into your laptop or computer. So if you would compare the difference in audio quality between the built-in sound card of a standard computer or even a MacBook or whatever, and you put a quality external audio interface next to it, like the Studio 24C, it's really, really a day and night difference between the two. And that's something that shouldn't be underestimated. So if you want to upgrade your sound in general, an external audio interface is always a good idea.
Yeah, it's kind of overly obvious that, you know, it will just be a better quality sound. It's got up to 192 kilohertz sample rate and things like that. And just the audio converters, you know, audio converters can go from 100 right up to 5,000, you know, so depending on which one you choose, they do make a difference. And yeah, all of our interfaces are kind of studio quality. You should notice an upgraded sound.
Sure. Lee, is there anything else you want to say, you want to go into?
No, that's really it. That's really it. If you guys have any more questions, I can just tell you how I work and things like that. We can check in the Q&A afterwards as well and answer more individual questions. But yeah,
I've really emptied the Q&A at the moment, so
oh,
we're
cool.
good. We're fine.
You're super efficient. That's really cool. But yeah, basically the point really is that there's options. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. The streaming softwares as well. Something like OBS is free, and just, it's worth putting the effort into your audio quality and your camera quality, obviously. So that's really all. Thank you everyone for joining, and hopefully we all get back to normality soon and get out there and start live gigging as well. So
let's hope. Nog één iets voor iedereen die erbij is. Als de livestream gedaan is, dan krijg je nog een poll in uw e-mail. En we geven vandaag ook nog een code weg voor Presonus Studio One Professional, die de volledige versie van het softwarepakket van Presonus is. Dus echt high-end DAW vergelijkbaar met Pro Tools, whatever. Dus als je die poll invult en wij krijgen het antwoord, dan zit je in de loting voor die software er nog bij te winnen. Dus zeker invullen. Bedankt aan iedereen om te kijken. Als er nog vragen zijn of dergelijke, kun je altijd terecht op info@bkfun.be. Ik ben Willem, voor degenen die het nog niet wisten. Dus als er nog iets is, geef gerust een seintje. En bedankt om erbij te zijn vandaag. Bye.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.